Queens, welcome or welcome back to my channel. So it's currently the 2nd of November and I have read a grand total of one book that is spooky season, October Halloween vibes, and that's not okay, especially because I bought so many in anticipation of the season and got very excitable, and I got very excitable and bought like 5 or 6, which doesn't actually sound like that many, but in the grand scheme of things, when my TBR is over 500 books long. Some of these books are books that it's like they're spooky season vibes, but I feel like I could read them at other points in the year. Some of them feel they need to be read during October. And so I decided it was probably a good idea to rearrange some of my video plans so that I can do a spooky season reading vlog slightly late in comparison to when most people will have been doing any spooky season themed reading vlogs. To get to a couple of these books that I really feel like need to be read in this season, because I was excited for quite a few of them. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna read a few spooky season books. How many times can I say the word spooky season? So I'm gonna read some spooky season books, and yeah, I was gonna make this just a spooky season romance, but I particularly wanted to read Rewitched. This is just a dust jacket because I started it last night, but I did particularly want to read Rewitched, which isn't necessarily a romance. I think there might be a romance subplot, but it's not particularly a romance. So I decided it would be just a general spooky season vlog. These are all books that, apart from this, I bought this year in spooky season prep. I feel like witchy books, as much as they're spooky season, definitely October vibes, I'm more likely to read them at other times of the year than stuff like these two. I don't know why. But then today, my Afterlight finally came for this month, which is Best Hex Ever, and I was vaguely interested in this, but I've just reread the synopsis as I unboxed it, and I'm super excited for this. So I think this might be one that I pick up in this vlog. It's less than 300 pages, but look at the naked hardback. She is stunning, and the sprayed edges, I'm in love. The end papers, I do like this cover. I don't think it's a bad cover. I do really enjoy the art. I'm just not sure how I feel about it as cover art. Like, I think it would be a nice little print, or obviously I like the end pages, but end pages would have been an option. Yeah, I feel like I really did enjoy the original cover, and yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about this. Like I say, I don't dislike it. I'm just not sure how I feel about it specifically as the cover. Also, this is not a B format hardback. Can we talk about that? Because I love my Afterlight B format hardbacks. I think they're so cute. There's something so nice about a B format hardback. And this is not that. So it's not gonna... I don't know if you can even see that. It's not gonna match my Afterlight books. I do have up here 2 other Afterlight books that aren't B format, but they're part of a series or a special edition of a series that I already own in paperback. So I feel like when I expand, I can just put them with that. This isn't going to fit nicely with my Afterlight books. First world problems, but yeah, I am really excited about this. I don't actually think I've heard this book talked about much on YouTube, so if and when I do start this book, I will give you a little synopsis. I'm not going to do that now because I don't want to make the intro too long. I did start Rewitched last night, that's why the dust jacket is off it. I'm only 50 pages in so far, so I don't have too many thoughts, but I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the writing style. I can see it's got a lot of potential to be a really fun read, and yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I've seen a lot of good reviews. I have seen some negative reviews too, but like of the people that I've actually spoken to about it who have read it, I'm seeing a lot of like 4 stars, which is a good sign. I do really love the sprayed edges on this book, but yeah. Okay, it is literally like just gone 2 AM. But I wanted to update you now because I am nearly 300 pages in and I definitely feel like I'm going to get a good chunk of this read still tonight. And I don't want to wait until tomorrow to check in and end up my first and only midway check-in being with like 30 pages left of the book. So I'm talking to you about this now, even though it is literally 2 in the morning. I'll give you a bit of like a synopsis first. So we follow Belle Blackthorne and she is a witch, but she lives in and among non-witch folk, and so she has to keep her powers under wraps. So she doesn't really get to practice magic as much as she would like, and she's definitely let it sort of slip to the wayside a bit. But on her 30th birthday, which happens at the start of the book, she gets called by her coven to complete a trial, which basically assesses whether you're worthy of keeping your powers, and it's possible for your powers to be taken away from you during this trial. I won't say too many specifics, obviously for spoilers, but it does say in the synopsis that she has a month to fix things, so I do feel comfortable sort of saying that something happens and she has a month to prove herself as worthy of keeping her powers. But there is definitely something nefarious going on. That's pretty much where I'm at. We also do have Rune, who is meant to be a bit of a love interest. Nothing has really happened as of yet, but it is clear there's some spark there, and his role is to sort of look out for her, make sure everything's all good, basically protect her from evil. But his job is being made particularly hard because the magic that helps him do that is being interfered with. And yeah, I have some suspicions as to what is going on. Nothing sort of solid, it's just sort of little vague ideas. But something I'm really enjoying about this is like the amount of focus on just like the stress of being a human being. She is falling apart, she's breaking apart. Like, this is so mentally exhausting for her. She has like no spare second, and this bookshop she works at is being managed by someone who only cares about money, only cares about profits, doesn't really understand what makes a bookshop actually successful. So she gets a lot of stress from work, but then she's also going through all this stuff that is so tied up in her identity. This has made me realise that I consume way too much American media though, because at one point they mentioned chips, and then I was surprised when they summoned the chips and it said like something hot carton of chips, and I was like, oh, you're talking about chips, not crisps. Because I just consume so much American media that it's ingrained in my brain now that when someone says chips they mean crisps. But yeah, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I don't think I'll finish it tonight, but I'll probably definitely finish it tomorrow, so I will update you then. I finished Rewitched last night, and I think I'm not fully sure about my rating yet. I think it's either going to be a 3.75 or a 4 stars. I really did enjoy this. The last like 100 pages or so had so much action and so much was going on. I did not predict anything that was going to happen in this. I mentioned in my last update that I had some theories as to what was going on. I was completely wrong. Like, there was only one tiny base element of what I thought was going on was correct, but that was like a more vague general thing. I didn't get any of the specifics whatsoever. I had so much fun. I can't wait. There is another book set in this universe coming out. It's not a sequel, but it is set in the same world, and I cannot wait to read that. Especially with the few things that happened at the end of this book, seeing how that leaves the coven for future books set in this world. I'm very excited to find out. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and it had a lot of commentary on, you know, even though this is a witchy book, general everyday struggles and everyday like problems that people have and the stresses of the real world. And I think it explored those complex relationships and stresses and feelings and all of the above really, really well. I would definitely recommend this if you haven't already picked it up. It was super fun, and the romance, I really enjoyed the romance in it, but it also wasn't too heavy. Like, you could remove the romance and it would not affect the plot in any way whatsoever. But as a romance lover, it was nice to have there and just see little tidbits, but it really was not a huge part of the book at all. But yeah, I'm really glad I managed to get to this before the spooky season was over, because I think it was a good choice to read it during spooky season. I think I wouldn't have enjoyed it as much reading it in, say, like the summer. Last night I picked up Best Text Ever. This doesn't have the cover on it, this is the Afterlight cover. I picked this up last night and I started it at something like 11:30 at night, and yet I got halfway through. I'm not a very fast reader, so it was at like 3 AM that I got halfway through, but I did not stop reading until I was halfway through. And I am really enjoying this so far. We follow Dina, and she is a kitchen witch, which is just basically like the branch of magic she specialises in, and she owns a cafe, and part of that is she imbues her like food items with magic, and it makes the customers have a certain feeling when they buy into it. So it might be the feeling of a warm hug, it might be the feeling of like your hands being warmed in the winter, things like that that aren't causing dramatic things. It's not like she's casting spells on people that they don't know. It's just little things that it's like, oh, that gives you a nice feeling. And she has a hex on her that anyone who falls in love with her will be her. It has meant that Dina has sworn off dating because she doesn't want to see people she cares about get hurt. But one day in walks Scott to the cafe that she owns, and one of the talismans that she has on the wall falls, and she sees this as a bad omen. They only have a brief encounter, don't find out each other's names or anything like that, but we as the reader do learn that they're both attending the same wedding at the weekend, because this is dual POV, so we do get that information. They're both attending the same wedding, and they're actually the best man and the maid of honour. They just happen to have never met each other because Scott's been travelling a lot, and so there hasn't been a lot of opportunity to introduce one another. But it's very clear that the bride and groom do plan on meddling, playing a bit of matchmaker. It's very clear that they think each other would be good for one another, and they want this wedding to be their opportunity to introduce them to each other. They have 3 sort of chance encounters before it gets to the actual wedding event where they're gonna be introduced either way, and it's on this 3rd encounter that they realise they are the best man and maid of honour at the same wedding. It's very clear from the start that they both like each other, but obviously Dina has sworn off dating because she doesn't want anyone to get hurt, and she can instantly tell Scott is not a man for a one-night stand, he's not a man for a fling. She knows that if she lets herself give in, she's gonna get in too far and then bad things are gonna happen, so she's really trying hard to resist. Whereas Scott very clearly likes her and reads her actions as disinterest, but then starts getting confused because at other times it's very clear that she is attracted to him. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a fairly slow burn. We've just got to the halfway point and they've only just done anything, and even then it was not much at all. I'm having a lot of fun, and the main character is Moroccan as well. The author is half Moroccan and half Australian, and the main character is Moroccan, and I'm finding that storyline quite interesting. She has already mentioned that she doesn't know a lot about her own heritage and she wishes she knew more, which is definitely something I relate to. I'm mixed race, and the non-white side of my family is my dad's side of the family, but I lost my dad when I was 5, so I haven't grown up with that as much. I only experience that culture when I'm visiting family, so I definitely relate to those aspects of wishing you knew more about your heritage and feeling like you don't know enough about it. It's still so imbued into the book. There's a lot of mentions of different foods that, like, I have googled every single food that's mentioned. Every single time a new food is mentioned, I'm like, got to know what this is, and it all looks amazing. I'm getting the impression that the magic is linked to her Moroccan heritage, so it's definitely there, but she has this like complex relationship with it, I guess, and I'm finding that really interesting and really fun to read about as someone who relates on that level. On a completely unrelated side note, Dina has a cat called Heebie-Jeebie and I just love that name. But yeah, so far I'm really enjoying this. It's looking like a 4.5 stars so far. Obviously it depends how the rest of the story plays out. It is looking like this vlog is only going to be 2 books. I did plan on doing 3, but it is currently Friday and I need to edit the vlog as well before putting it up on Sunday, so I don't think I'm going to finish this and read a whole other book in time to edit it to get it up, but 2 books is fine. I'll see you probably when I finish this, unless something major happens that I feel the need to update you on. I finished Best Text Ever last night and I am giving it 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. My biggest issue was that because it is dual POV, but it's not changing necessarily only at chapters. There are some points mid-chapter it changes POV, and also because the chapters are not headed with the character names, there are a couple times where it is unclear that the POV has switched, but within like the paragraph you figure it out, so it's not too much of an issue. But yeah, other than that, like, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the 3rd act conflict. I think it was very well done. Obviously it relates to the hex. I'm not going to say any more about it, like in what way does he leave because he finds out, does she leave to protect him? I'm not gonna elaborate, but the 3rd act conflict is because of the hex, and you know, that's a very valid reason to for 2 characters to not be together. You know, this ain't just, oh, we had a disagreement, and it's not even a case of one person thinking they know what's best for the other. Like, so many times I see that in romance books where someone leaves because they're like, I don't want to put you through this, but I'm not going to give you a choice on whether you want to be put through it, because actually whichever person makes the decision, like, they both have every right to be like, no, I don't want to go through this, you know what I mean? So I really enjoyed that, and like I mentioned earlier in my update, I really enjoyed how she explored her heritage. I would have liked that to be pushed a bit more, but it did get brought up again about how she didn't feel like she knew enough about her heritage, and Scott does actually decide to help her because he's got access to different information through the archives at the museum he works at. But I would have liked to see that pushed a bit more. Maybe that's just like my own personal, like, what's the word, wish fulfillment. Like, I want to be able to do that with my own heritage, and so I would have liked to see it in here. And similarly with Scott, like, I would have liked to see him possibly explore that a bit more, like, or maybe even just relate to her a bit. Like, when there's a moment where she says, like, she gets a bit upset because she realises he knows more about her own background than she does, because like the tribes in her area of Morocco are something that he has studied, and she realizes he knows more about that than she does, and it makes her like feel upset. And beautifully he takes that moment to be like, there's loads of information in the archives of the museum that I can pull out for you as a curator and I can give you access to if you want. But I would also love to see in that moment him being like, I completely understand how you feel because I have no clue where I'm from. I would have loved to see that explored a bit more. But this is only like a 200 90-page book-ish. Like, we could have had it a bit longer and had those themes explored, I think, but otherwise, yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Another thing I really appreciated about this book as well is both the main characters don't want kids, and like that's that. It's brought up a couple times, but it's all like just them being like, yeah, I don't want kids. No one tries to pressure them into wanting kids. No one questions why they don't want kids. It's never brought up. And like in the epilogue, I feel like this isn't a spoiler, in the epilogue her friend is pregnant, and you know that's a time that sometimes like you can have characters be like, oh, it'd be nice for our kids to get together, or all that kind of energy, and she doesn't do that at all. It's not mentioned once. I really appreciated that, because so many romance books, the happily ever after is getting married and having kids, and that isn't everyone's happily ever after, and it's nice to see that played out and portrayed, and it not be questioned, and it just be, yeah, neither of us want kids. We're both happy being the fun aunt and uncle and having pets. That is what a lot of people have an issue with romance as well. Like, I've seen a lot of people who don't read romance a lot be like, well, actually my personal happily ever after is never depicted in these books. So that is another great thing about this, and I will be recommending this to people who I've seen that as a big complaint of theirs with romance. I will be recommending this book to them. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what else this author comes out with. I'm not sure if this was a debut or not. I think it was. Yeah, this was her debut, so I'm really excited to see what else she comes out with. Definitely would recommend this. That is it for this reading vlog. If you got this far in the video, then please leave the Mystic Ball crystal ball emoji down below. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, I'm at Sammy's Reading Room over there too, and all my other socials are linked below as always. If you enjoyed this video, it would be really appreciated if you left a like, comment or subscribed. It really does mean a lot to me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!